Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and after months of negotiations and years of time wasting, the UK government has finally agreed terms to rejoining the EU Horizon scheme. In this video, I'd like to discuss the main political aspects of the deal, but really what I want to do is to look at what else it might unlock later on. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel. So, assuming the EU member states ratify the deal, the UK can now rejoin Horizon. For Rishi Sunak, he can boast a hefty reduction for our years of absence and even an ongoing rebate scheme of sorts. If the UK makes 16% more in contributions than it gets back in grants, we get a rebate to compensate. But as David Hennig, as a trade expert, points out, this figure will have been chosen because it's very unlikely to happen. The rebate mechanism exists politically so that Sunak can say he got a good deal for the UK, which is fair enough. He'll no doubt link his efforts with those of Thatcher and her rebate. Oddly enough, the reverse mechanism exists as well. So if we make more than expected from the scheme, we have to pay extra into the fund. Mind you, if this happens, it will be because we got more benefit from the scheme than planned. So I'm not sure any complaints from Brexiteers will really hit home. Naturally, the hardline Brexiteers are utterly dismayed because we've joined an EU scheme. And this is what I want to focus on because I don't think they really care about Horizon. I think they see it as crossing the Rubicon. A bit like the fear of gateway drugs. Brexiteers may fear that Horizon membership is a gateway scheme. Not a problem in itself, but that it destroys the arguments for lots more alignment with the EU. In fact, Rishi Sunak was asked by journalists. He said, is this going to lead to closer collaboration with the EU in other areas? He did not answer the question. Now consider this. Labour have ruled out joining the EU, but also the customs union or single market separately. Why? Because these are the famous Brexit lines, politically fractious at the moment. But there are lots of EU organisations and schemes that it is possible to be a part of without being in the EU or even in the single market or customs union. Lots of things we can do that don't require crossing any of those lines. In fact, there are dozens of them. And if we can join one scheme, why not another? In fact, what's the argument against joining as many as we can? Now that we will rejoin Horizon, the only argument for not doing so for other schemes is there an actual argument that it's not in our interest? Or, of course, if the EU don't see it as in their interest for us to be part of it. That's really the only argument now. The ideological argument's been kicked in the head. For example, the Financial Times noted that we will be participating in the Copernicus satellite scheme again. Now, remember when Boris Johnson let Dominic Cummings spend £500 million on a bankrupt satellite company which specialises in the wrong sort of satellites so that we could do our own version? You know, on a shoestring, a Blue Peter job. Yeah, that didn't work out too well. What's that? What happened to the money? Good question. Turns out buying a company that went bust making satellites for which it has expertise was not likely to give us the satellites that it doesn't have expertise for. So now we've decided to just join Copernicus again. We should never have left. We should never have given Dominic Cummings any money. But the same article also noted that we're not joining Euratom. Now, why would that be? Because Euratom is a single market for nuclear products, I suppose. The dreaded word single and market there. So the Tories avoid it like Dracula avoids garlic bread. But I wonder if Labour will be so coy. It's not the single market. It's not the definite article. Very limited for products the public don't really care about. But Brexiteers would presumably oppose that as a gateway to the single market proper as well. In truth, I don't know just how valuable Euratom would be to the UK, but entry would represent lower trade barriers at a time when even the Tories say they're keen on nuclear. But there are lots of schemes where there would be obvious mutual benefit for the UK and EU. Some of them may need convoluted negotiations as well, but others would be much quicker and easier. Erasmus, for example. What is the argument now against joining Erasmus? But is there anything else of major economic impact? Because after all, the Tories don't care about young people, so they're not going to rejoin Erasmus. Not worth it. You know, every scheme that Sunak tries to join between now and the election, he's going to get aggro from the hard Brexiteers in his party, so he needs to see the benefit to himself. So it's not worth the political battle for a Tory leader for something like Erasmus. That can be left for Labour. But the Tories may fight a mini Brexit battle again for something with a more tangible economic benefit. Now, I've discussed a few times this year the worry that Sunak has about grace periods ending on rules of origin on electric cars. Now, Hennig thinks this could be the next deal. I mean, it'll have to be. It's got to happen quite quickly. Now, I know some will straight away think, well, what's in it for the EU? Why should they? Same reason for them agreeing to anything. It will be in their interest. If it's not in their interest, they won't agree to it. It's really that simple. They're not going to negotiate anything that's not in their interest because they don't employ people like Liz Truss or Boris Johnson to strike their deals. But as Hennig points out, the EU is in competition with China. It doesn't want to be in competition with us, but it has to be of necessity in competition with China. And in order to compete with China, it needs efficient supply chains around Europe. That includes Britain. We desperately need to protect our own car industry from Brexit as well. So it's massively in our interest. There's huge motivation for a deal on the British side. In fact, Rishi Sunak has made no secret of the fact he wants an extension to these grace periods. It's just toxic Tory Brexiteers gnashing their teeth on this prospect on purist ideological grounds. But that's fine, because if Sunak can arrange like an extension, Labour can find the eventual deal. But time's ticking, and if the grace period runs out at the end of this year without a further deal, the impact will be immediately felt. So it's not like there's necessarily a huge boost for the Tories if they agree something, but there'll be a huge hit to their credibility if they don't. Most Tory MPs don't really want to be dealing with another economic blow in the year of the general election. Hennig also mentions the PEM. Now, this is the Pan-European Mediterranean Convention. I've discussed this in a few previous videos as well. It's an obvious one for us to join. Massively relaxes the constraints on dealing with rules of origin with not just EU countries, but other countries around Europe, the Middle East and North Africa as well. And as Hennig points out, with each of these steps, which are really important if we want to boost our economy, we embrace further regulatory alignment. Remember that Starmer has said he's happy with full alignment on standards with the EU, so there'll be no barriers there. It's really a case of what Sunak's Tories might do before the election. If there is a deal to be struck on electric cars, even if it's only an extension to the grace periods, then Sunak will want it. The clock's ticking. He's only got a few more months. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, the join button for memberships. And until next time, I'll see you later.